Well, this video is long overdue. I'm happy I'm getting this one out a lot earlier than what I did the NASCAR Heat 3 wishlist video. But yeah, it didn't take me very long. I my list was pretty easy to put together. And honestly, I got my whiteboard here. It's a lot of it is really just game fixes, and we're gonna go through it. But yeah, I don't think my camera's wide enough for this. Maybe, but yeah, it's my entire whiteboard I took off the wall and just jotted down a lot of stuff. It's completely filled, completely. But yeah, if you're new, I played a lot of NASCAR Heat Evolution. I was really patient with that game. It was a very rushed game, and obviously wasn't very good. NASCAR Heat 2 was definitely a big step up over NASCAR Heat Evolution. Of course, they brought in the 3 new series, but it still had its flaws. NASCAR Heat 3, I gotta say, there's a lot of hype around it, especially for me. After NASCAR Heat Evolution, after NASCAR Heat 2, this was a really big year. And I felt like we were going to see a lot of improvement and a lot of cool new things coming to the game. Of course, with the Dirt Tour, the more in-depth career mode, and some of that stuff, I did pretty good. I got to say, I didn't like it at first, but the Extreme Dirt Tour was pretty fun. The in-depth career mode was huge, and it absolutely needed to be in the game after NASCAR Heat 2, where you couldn't upgrade at all, really. But man, let me tell you, at the end of the day, I can say at this point I played enough of the game to say I was disappointed with NASCAR Heat 3 this year. And I got a pretty long list of why that is. So most importantly, once again, I played a lot of the game. I still play it. I still play my career mode, and I still stream online lobbies for my subs to race with my subs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I've given this game a lot of crap from NASCAR Heat 2, and this year as well, especially. But at the end of the day, if somehow, some way I can help make the game better with feedback. Last year, I emailed my wishlist video. I felt like it was a little bit too late, though. I'm trying to get this one out. Hopefully, they could take some feedback from this as well. So comments are going to be very important. For me, most of my lists are really, a lot of it's just like fixes, and I feel like things that should be in the game that aren't already. A lot of it isn't really original or new content. I didn't even really think about all that stuff because I felt like there was so much holding NASCAR Heat 3 back that should have been fixed or that should have been in the game. So honestly, yeah, I didn't really think of just new stuff to be put in the game because I don't even really think they're there yet. That's just my opinion. But as always, do comment down below what you'd like to see, most importantly in the game, whether it's a fix, whether it's a new option in the game. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to NASCAR Heat 4, I'm still going to pick up that career mode, and I don't want to be as miserable as I am in NASCAR Heat 3. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that miserable. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and hop into it here. So like I did last year, honestly, it's kind of going to be the same. This first column, I'm probably going to try to timestamp it when I can. This first column is just going to be fixes that, like, you can't touch the game. You can't put together NASCAR Heat 4 without addressing these things. This is my list. So the first thing, I bet many of you can guess what it is. Good job. Okay. White flag.
White flag is in the air.
All right, get off the corner. White flag. Fucking put it in the wall.
On the inside. You got one to go. All right, you're clear. Car on the outside now.
I would have won the race! Come on! Somehow, some way, this was in NASCAR Heat 2 that made it through that entire lifespan of that game. Never got patched out. Made it all the way to NASCAR Heat 3 and still hasn't been patched to this day. I don't care who it is. I will tell you that's unacceptable. The caution on the white flag does not end the race. One of the easiest and simplest things that should not be in the game. A clear set of rules. It's not right. I don't know how many times I've been burned from this from NASCAR Heat 3. I was in the lead. I hit the white flag. A caution comes out while I'm in the lead, but the race doesn't end. By real NASCAR rules, that ends the race. It doesn't in NASCAR Heat 3, unless you're in overtime. If you go to overtime and a caution comes out on the white flag, then that ends the race, but not in just the regular amount of laps. So once again, I don't know how that, like, that's one of those things. It should have been patched in NASCAR Heat 2. I don't care who you are. I would expect any developer to patch that out of the game, but somehow it made it clear through NASCAR Heat 2 into NASCAR Heat 3 and still hasn't been patched out yet. That's stuff like that, man. I said it in my NASCAR Heat 3 wishlist video. There's some stuff like that. I don't know why that couldn't be patched, but still very disappointed. It's still a problem in the game. So next on the list, we got ping-ponging. Ping-ponging, man, the car contact has always been bad. From NASCAR Heat Evolution to NASCAR Heat 2 to NASCAR Heat 3. What the fuck? So one of the first things you notice when you play NASCAR Heat 3, whether you're playing online, whether you're playing career mode, season mode, I don't care what you're playing. If you come in contact with a car, there's a good chance you wreck it. I don't think I've ever played a racing game in my life where it was as easy to wreck in this game I it blows my mind 100%. That's part of the problem too. Like if you get hit in a certain, like if you get hit in the left rear quarter panel, you'll get shot right. If you get like hit in the right rear, you'll get shot left. Like it doesn't even make sense the directions you're getting shot. But we gotta do something with and that was something they said that they were gonna fix. Or I don't know if they used the word improve or fix. One of the two.
So the handling of the cars is more refined. We are aware that if we make every AI car wreck when you tap them, then it would just be a wreck fest, and that wouldn't be fun. But we were able to tighten up like your car's handling model as well, so you're not going to be quite as loosey-goosey as you might have been when you touched that car as you were in years past.
What the fuck? But I remember that being one of the main things that they were talking about before NASCAR Heat 3 came out. And then I started playing the game, and people were asking me my opinion, and I was like, I don't know. What about that car contact? And I was thinking to myself, man, let me tell you, it kind of feels the same, honestly. And that was the way I felt like with a lot of this game. A lot of it felt the same. The green-white checkers, the ping-pong. Let's talk about the rival system next. That has not changed at all since NASCAR Heat 2. NASCAR Heat 2, the rival system came back. It was cool and all. Rival system was a fun part of the old EA games, but man, was it bad. And it didn't change from NASCAR Heat 2. Not only is it easy to make rivals based off of them just piling into you, I mean, it's the same way it was with EA games. If any car contact whatsoever, whether you cause it or not, eventually they will get pissed off enough at you. But the difference between what we got now in the old EA games is not only you could share draft to help improve and kind of decay that rivalry away, it was just so much more in depth. That's I feel like that's kind of the whole story of this NASCAR Heat 3 video game, is that it lacks a lot of in-depth. It's very basic. So I'm hoping once we get around to NASCAR Heat 4, we'll start getting more in-depth with a lot of stuff like that. But the rival system has to change, let me tell you. There's nothing more annoying than getting shoved, down below the apron. The apron, as soon as you hit it, it'll snap you around. One of the things once again, I still don't like about the game. But I mean, they'll be trying to wreck you. Talladega and Daytona, it doesn't matter. It might work out really well. It also might not work out. Oh, really? You're gonna pick on me? I'm like 10 miles an hour slower than everybody here, and you're gonna come down and door me? And right hook me? I mean, if you want to ruin the race. Oh, fuck you, dude. Looks like we're taking Blaney with us. There, you happy? They do it in really awkward ways, too. NASCAR Thunder, you could be rivals with them. Sometimes they wouldn't even hit you. Sometimes they would, they would door bang you. Sometimes they would hit you in the rear end coming through the corners. It had a lot more variety in NASCAR Thunder 2004. I'm going to dip back to NASCAR Thunder 2004 a lot. If you haven't seen the NASCAR Thunder 2004 playthrough, 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's easily my favorite game to play and post, just because that game is such a masterpiece. If I could say anything to any of the developers of 704 games, take note from NASCAR Thunder 2004. I know some of the stuff kind of resembles already. I know some of the guys, I want to say some of the developers were on the team with EA and probably worked on that game at some point, but let me tell you, that game was a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. There's a couple of things that I would absolutely tweak, but I mean, just the level of depth, the career mode is perfect, damn near perfect. The rival system is great. A lot of things are really, really great about that game. So if you need to take notes from anywhere, that is the game. Plug it in. I volunteered last year. I will volunteer my PS2 to any developer who wants it. I will send my PS2 and a copy of NASCAR Thunder 2004. I will send it to Charlotte. Next up on the list in career mode is the development. And here's something that was really frustrating in NASCAR Heat 2 is when in career mode, whether you had your own team or you were racing for somebody or filled in for somebody, you couldn't develop at all. You couldn't get better at all. I don't know why that wasn't it was a feature in NASCAR Heat Evolution. That was one of the biggest points I had in NASCAR Heat 2 is that in NASCAR Heat Evolution you could upgrade your car in career mode. You couldn't upgrade your car in career mode in NASCAR Heat 2. In NASCAR Heat 3, obviously we got a lot of that, but only if you own your own team. So if you hop into any of the other cars, you can't get better. I mean, you can get the 10% speed boost momentum thing. We'll talk about that later. But you can't upgrade. I got away with it with NASCAR Heat 2 because the difficulty wasn't very good. It was definitely pretty easy, but it balanced itself out with you being so bad and not being able to upgrade. You could get away with it sometimes. NASCAR Heat 3, I'll get to the difficulty a little bit later as well. So next up in career mode, a lot of this stuff is probably going to be in and around career mode. That's what I play the most, and I feel like that's obviously what needs a lot of attention. but I feel like some of the stuff kind of ties into other game modes. But one of the biggest things in NASCAR E3 that changed from NASCAR E2 was the difficulty. The problem with that, though, is the way they made it more difficult was more or less they took engine power away from you, and they also made the AI do some cheeky things. So in career mode, the 3 things you can develop, if I remember correctly, is engine power, suspension, and aerodynamics. Let me tell you, only one of those things does what it's supposed to do. Suspension doesn't do anything. Aerodynamics don't do anything. All it is engine power. There's no, like, if you compare it to NASCAR Thunder 2004, there's no challenge elsewhere other than the engine power. The only thing you can do, even if you get suspension upgrades, is you get more straightaway speed, pretty much. In NASCAR Thunder 2004, you had tire wear, you had tire grip, you had downforce, body drafting, engine power, engine efficiency. In this, we basically just have engine power, and that is the only thing. And that's what makes the 3-star hot seats, that was part of my point here. The 3-star hot seats are atrocious, especially if you get to the career mode. It is unbelievable how slow they make you to make it a challenge. I talked a lot about unrealistic challenges in NASCAR Heat 2. Well, this is one of them in NASCAR Heat 3. They basically put you out there in a lawnmower engine. If you missed my hot seat ride at Martinsville, I was filling in for AJ Allmendinger, a 3-star team with JTG. I don't know if I totally agree with that. That also ties into another point. The 3 to 5-star team rating is kind of horse shit. It should be about 1 to 5-star teams. 3 to 5 ain't cutting it. But I had major straightaway problems at Martinsville, and that should never be. Short tracks, road courses, sort of, kind of. But even still, some of those tracks, engine power shouldn't be that big of a problem, especially in Martinsville. And that's where some of that stuff needs to tie in. They needed to bring in another challenge other than engine power. Tire grip, tire wear. Give me something, man, other than just making my car really slow, because I'm getting through the corner just as fast as anybody else on track, but I'm limited with this engine power. And don't get me started. If you're driving for a 3-star team, a 3-star car, you are way slower than all the other 3-star cars. It's horseshit. If I'm driving a 3-star car, I should have the exact same engine power as other 3-star cars, and I am never anywhere close to them. And that has pissed me off a lot this year, let me tell you. Yeah, you're ready to see how little speed we have. We're just as fast as anybody, I think, through the corners. But my God, are we ever underpowered. That's all we're going to do, man. We're just going to be piling into people. I don't even know how the hell we're supposed to pass. Because look at this. It's like it's literally like you put my grandma's 99 Camry out there, and this is how much straightaway speed we have. It is unbelievable how much we get pulled. Like, that's not fair. At least give me something. It's incredible they made me this slow. I mentioned tire wear in there somewhere. The AI's tires never wear. Compared to the user, I always play on 4 times just to have a lot of tire degradation in there. That's a lot of fun. But the AI's tires never wear. What's even worse is that if you get late into a race, it's one of the last pit stops of the race. Once again, tire wear doesn't matter to the AI cars, and if it's under a caution, they'll come in, they'll take like 2 tires at a track where I'll be running like 60% right front. I obviously need tires, but the AI don't, and so they take like no tires or 2 tires, and then I lose 30 spots. That's what I'm assuming happens there towards the end of the race. I don't know how many times it's happened to me late in the race, that late race pit stop, and I lose just 30 spots because the AI don't need tires. That's so frustrating, man. That's so frustrating. Now I have to take 4 tires. I have to take 4 tires because my tire wear is bad. Just like everybody else's should be. However, I will take short fuel. Not like it should matter. Because I'm taking 4 tires anyways. But I'll take a half can of fuel, and that should be just plenty. And I lost 18 spots! Yay! My favorite. I love this game. I absolutely love it. Why did I lose time? Probably because I didn't take 2 tires or 0 tires like everybody else. Because nobody else has tire wear like me. Because it's NASCAR Heat 3. And there went all my spots that I worked hard to block for the entire race. I blocked my way all up to, what, 16th? And all it took was one ignorant pit stop and one ignorant part of the game to lose me every single one of my spots and ruin my entire race. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Fuck you, game. On the other end of that, that's great and all, losing all those spots. But here's the thing. Even if you take 4 fresh tires and they don't take any tires at all, you're still slower than them. Unless you're like, your car is way more upgraded. And but that's the problem, man. A lot of it has been struggling to go fast. And that should be a big part. I want to struggle in the game. But don't make it to where I just need fresh tires all the time and AI don't. That's not fair. And that's not fun. You gotta give me that realistic challenge, man. Other than taking my engine power away and not making it to where any of the AI tires wear. Stuff like that, I mean, it's really frustrating, and it's not rewarding, and it's just not fun to play. Next on the list, a lot of this is centered around the AI, because the AI are still very bad in this game, let me tell you. This is probably up there, top 3 on the list of things that have pissed me off in NASCAR Heat 3. When the AI cars, they run around the bottom of the track. They stick to the yellow line or the white line, and they just kind of like pin it coming off the corner, but they still keep up their momentum. I mean, I can pin it too. I just got to slow down at 50 miles an hour to hook the bottom coming off the corner. Hopefully I insert some clips so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. This is just horse shit. Not only should Jennifer Jo Corncob not be quicker than me, but she just sticks the bottom. Because she's obviously got that top-notch arrow and handling and everything else. And she just zips around the bottom. No fucking oh. But any normal racing game, any normal oval, especially in real life, you see them when they come off the corner, they'll slide up to the wall. The AI just like to hook it like they're on train tracks, and they'll just stick underneath you. Otherwise known as the poking. Don't like the poking. But hey, the good thing is, from NASCAR Heat 2 to NASCAR Heat 3, at least they made the AI to where they wouldn't wreck at mile and a half by themselves. They had a hell of a time running through the quad ovals without wrecking themselves. So, like a quarter of a point for that one. All right, so this is one that's not really for career mode, but let me tell you something. In NASCAR Heat 2, I remember, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I want to say in NASCAR Heat 2, they were looking to get a full paint booth. And then that didn't make the original release of the game, and I still feel like I remember devs talking about that they were going to add the paint booth later in the game in a patch. Maybe. It didn't make it to NASCAR Heat 2. That's okay. So I expected it to be NASCAR Heat 3. Guess what wasn't in NASCAR Heat 3? I don't know how we've made it through 3 games, and we don't have a full paint booth at all. The paint booth is honestly very sad. Speaking of the paint booth, in career mode, if you own your own car, you can't even change the paint scheme. You can change the colors around, but you can't change the design or anything. It's sad. It really is. But if we don't have a full paint booth for some of the creators on the game some of them are still playing NASCAR, some of the old Technics games because they have a paint booth and NASCAR Heat does not. 3 games, we don't have one. There should be a paint booth, and there should absolutely be some way for the community to share paint schemes. Kind of like what I had this my NASCAR 2 wish list, something like iRacing has with trading paints where you can upload your designs and people can use them and create their own and do whatever. We should absolutely have that. Okay. Honestly, I think that's pretty much my list of must fixes. But I feel like I made it through there pretty swift. Hopefully all that made sense. I know I don't make sense half the time, but if anything confuses you, do let me know in the comments. I'll try to explain it for you. So now I'm going to try to just go through some stuff that I absolutely think should be added or fixed. But once again, I do want to make it a point. All that stuff I listed there in the first however many minutes that section was, those are the things that absolutely need to be addressed before NASCAR Heat 4. Because, listen, NASCAR Heat 4, if we make it through 4 games and the caution still comes out on the white flag and screws me out of a win, honestly, I might make it through 3 episodes and I might quit. That can't be a thing. It can't be a thing, especially 4 games in. It can't be. And I know there's no way they don't know about it. All right, so the random AI cautions, for whatever reason, they like to wreck like middle of the last stage almost every single race, and it always screws up my strategy. I don't know if that's a point in the coding or what to just make a car wreck or blow up or do something every final stage, but please change it up every once in a while. And just also a side note, I don't really care how they wreck, but every time they wreck on their own, they always just kind of spin left down the track instead of up. It's really weird. Once again, I don't want to nitpick that hard, but I mean, the crashing animations, when they blow a tire, spin around, it's pretty rough. Give you a little shot. Whoa, bro, what the fuck? So next up is the plate racing. I roasted the hell out of the plate racing in the first 2 games. NASCAR Heat Evolution, it was like 2004, and they they just spaced out and left. NASCAR Heat 2, I can't even remember what they did, but I don't think it was pretty. NASCAR Heat 3, some people don't share the same. So here's the thing. I'm really in depth And when you really dissect what's going on in the plate racing in NASCAR E3, it's not fun, especially when you're slow. All it is the AI cars are always programmed to be in like 1 or 2 lanes. And you can see it in every single series. The Dirt Tour, they're always programmed to be in that 1 lane. And they always fight like hell to try to get back into that lane. Like if you move them out of their comfort zone, they're going to try like hell to get back in there. And I hate that stuff. Multi-groove racing should be a thing. I don't even think I wrote that down. But if we could get multi-groove racing, I'm just going to shoot that in there real quick. If I could drive the High Line in Atlanta or Fontana or Homestead, that would be awesome. I don't expect you guys to nail that because iRacing hasn't really either. But same still applies. If you can get the AI, I know they kind of, that's the thing. Like they moved them up at Bristol. They run the high 2 lanes at Bristol, but that's the thing. You'll never see them run the bottom intentionally. Got a little sidetrack. Back to the plate racing. Anyways, those 2 lanes, they're always in those 2 lanes. And the problem with it is there's no momentum, and they also don't bump draft. So basically, you've got 2 lanes. This is my dry erase and my marker. You got 2 lanes. 2 lanes that never move. They kind of go back and forth, but they never move. They never break up. They never really do anything. So there's no racing. They just kind of ride in their 2 lanes. There's nothing really going on. And it's so frustrating when you're slow. You can't work the lanes like you would in real life. You always see that one guy like Brendan Gaughan who always like kind of works the draft, works the lines, and kind of gets his way to the front of the field. NASCAR E3, good luck, unless you're fast. You ain't working shit. I mentioned this earlier, but the apron sucks. If you touch the apron at almost every single track, you will spin instantly. It's not usually how it works. For reference, Atlanta, I don't know if you guys have seen the Harvick line. He's won there, the last 2 years now in the Cup Series, I think. He basically rides right on top of that apron, right on the white line. Darlington, they use all kinds of lanes. If you go low enough, right there on the dotted white line, you'll snap around. It's rough. I've got a quick pair of like quality of life buffs, I guess we could add for NASCAR Heat 4. I asked for this in NASCAR Heat 3. It was, maybe we'll get it in NASCAR Heat 4. I don't know. But the leaderboard, you can always see like the first 2 in front of you and the first 2 behind you or something like that. If we could just have an option to scroll through that so I can scroll up and down through the field, that would be awesome. Also, before you go into the race, on the little like race screen where it like shows the race logo or whatever, it would be so awesome to see how many laps are in that race and how many or when the stages are in that race. Just so you know ahead of time before you get in the race, just so you can kind of game plan before that. Also, another quality of life update. This pissed me off. In NASCAR Heat 3, I don't know what NASCAR Heat 4 is going to look like, but after you finish the race, they got a logo here. They got like a logo here, and they got like all this shit going on the overlay when you're trying to watch the replay. There's no option to turn it off. They made everything smaller, but they didn't add an option to turn it off. Like that's one of those things. I mean, I had faith like in the first couple of years, and then they started like just like little stuff like that. How does it make more sense to make it smaller but not add an option to turn it off? You know how frustrating it is when you're trying to get a sexy thumbnail for your video? I know I'm not the only one who's had this problem. Trust me. I've seen all you guys' thumbnails out there with the logo still in the thumbnail, with the overlays. And that little thing like over your car, it says your name and it says what position you are. That's so annoying. I don't know why there's not an option to turn that off. Any other game has an option to turn that off. But they made it smaller. That was one of the few things they did in a patch this year. They made it smaller, but they didn't add an option to turn it off. Why? All right, this is one of the few things that I thought of. Actually, I don't know why. When I was jotting down stuff on this, I thought of it. I talked about it randomly in a NASCAR Heat 3 live stream this year. I'm going to take a page out of Fortnite's book. I know there's at least one person out there who's played Fortnite. Assuming you've won, when you win, you get to do some sort of dance or something stupid. I don't know if you noticed, but that happens a lot. When a driver wins a race in NASCAR. Wouldn't that be cool as hell? This is one of the cool things I feel like NASCAR Heat could absolutely do. Just as something cool. Imagine all the victory celebrations that have been done. Tony Stewart fence climb. The Austin Dillon slide through the grass really rough. Those burnouts like at a road course or whatever where they, or like the inside wall where the crew jumps up on the wall and, they burn it down. Nose pointed towards the wall. This is a couple examples, man. All like the different, Brad Keselowski gets the American flag and he does a pace lap. So, like little stuff like that. At the end of the race, how cool would that be just to have like an option, like have a couple presets that you set up, like a couple victory celebrations that you could do or have like set up. I know in NASCAR, what was it? NASCAR 2011, the game, they had everybody, every time you won a race, no matter who it was, they would get out and do a backflip like Carl Edwards. You had Mark Martin out there doing backflips off his car when he won. Like stuff like that. That should be an option. I think that'd be cool as hell, man. I don't feel like that's the thing, though, man. I could see them not having enough time for that. But I feel like it's something kind of small that they could do that could be really, really cool. And then they could add new celebrations throughout the year. We'll add that on to the DLC list so they can, further sell that later in the year. And just a quick note, please don't add any more series, please. Take the Dirt Tour back, please. The only reason why I say that, it's December and I still haven't made it to the Cup Series yet. I really appreciate the career mode being more in-depth. But let me tell you, man, the greatest career mode of all time, NASCAR Thunder 2004, is only one series. And that is all you need. All right, I got about 2 more points here before we get into career mode. We haven't got the 2019 DLC yet, but I would imagine once that comes out, you're not going to be able to use that DLC in your career mode, so you're going to have to start a new one if you want to do all the new cars in career mode. That's really frustrating. It's been like that since Heat Evolution and Heat 2. You couldn't continue your career mode with the new cars. I don't know how hard that would be, but man, that would make it so much more worth it if you could take, like, say 5 years of your career mode, 6, 7, 8 seasons of your career mode. You're in the Cup Series, and then after you finish a season, you could select it and go on to the 2019 DLC and then use all the updated cars. I don't know how hard that would be, but that would be huge. I'll probably still end up getting it, but that would be a huge incentive to pick it up for a lot of people, I would imagine, instead of starting all over with another career mode just to use the updated cars. Once again, we haven't got it yet, but I would imagine it's going to be like that again. Now, this next thing is pretty cool. Once again, I would imagine this probably won't have enough time for it. I don't even know if this is possible. I don't see why not. But season mode could be damn cool. I don't know how possible it is, but if they could bring back old point series formats to mess around in season mode, that could be basically like the franchise mode that 2K has and Madden has. If you could bring different point formats that you could customize it and play around with and sim things and just mess around with it and see different outcomes. Maybe have the ability to customize the schedule. Obviously, it probably wouldn't work all too well because, you can't add tracks, obviously, that aren't in the game. And probably you can't even add, like, Iowa to the Cup schedule if you wanted to, just because, for whatever reason, you can't do that in the game already. But they could do a lot of things, I think, with the season mode that could make it a lot of fun. I would totally play around with it way more if they could bring in different points formats, you could just, like, it'd be kind of like My League, I guess, for 2K. I played the hell out of that just because of all the is that a word? Customability? That didn't sound right. But you know what I mean. I think that would be really cool, taking maybe, Homestead out of the season finale and adding it, like, finishing the season at, like, Martinsville or Bristol or Daytona or something stupid like that. Just messing around with it. And maybe, once again, the different points formats, you could sim seasons and see how it plays out. Just different stuff like that. Maybe you could add editing car ratings and stuff like that if they went more in depth with it. I absolutely think they should, having car ratings for all the drivers in the game. I know that would be pretty rough. Maybe only for the Cup Series. I could see this being like a Cup Series exclusive. So once again, let me paint the picture. Custom Cup schedule. You could customize it however you want with all the tracks that are on the Cup schedule already. Basically, you'd just be rearranging dates. Custom points formats. So you could go back to the original chase, the before the chase, pre-chase. They changed it around a couple of times in there in the last couple of years. So that would be really badass. And then once again, maybe change around custom car ratings and maybe throw your own car into the mix and have the ability to sim around or play what you want. I don't know. You could do a lot of things with that. Once again, that's with the list I have of all the stuff that needs fixing in this game. I don't think that one's going to be in the allocated time. But hey, it's an idea. I didn't have many of them this time around just because I'd rather see the game fixed than have that stuff. But that would be cool for NASCAR Heat 13 maybe. So I already know this video is longer than I wanted it to be, but it's kind of hard not to make a long wishlist video with these NASCAR Heat games. So we're going to jump into career mode. The list is kind of long, but I'm going to try to breeze through it. The employees. I like buying upgrades for the employees, but performance should be big. In NASCAR Thunder 2004, as you perform, they all have potential ratings, which I think was really, really cool. The better you do, obviously the better your pit crew gets after a while. In NASCAR Heat 3, there's not a lot of incentive for doing good. Your pit crew doesn't get better. Your team doesn't get better. Your equipment also doesn't decay or anything, so you can crash it up as many times as you want. It won't get any worse. That's something I absolutely think should be added more into NASCAR Heat 3. When you play NASCAR Thunder 2004, that game is so rewarding, and it feels so good when you do good, because so many things are affected in that game when you do good. Your pit crew is affected. Your sponsors are affected. That's another whole aspect of the career mode that I could probably talk about for an hour. All those little things affected just by running good. So In NASCAR Heat 3, there's not a lot affected when you run good. And that's what makes it not, it doesn't, you don't get that really warm and good feeling when you do good things in NASCAR Heat 3. So hopefully that makes sense. We don't have DNFs yet in the game. And this goes back to one of my earlier points that needs to be fixed in NASCAR Heat 3. If they fix the car contact where it's not stupid, the DNFs should be added. But DNFs should not be added until we can fix the car contact. Because once again, I've never played a racing game that was so easy to wreck. I guarantee you I couldn't count as high as the amount of times I've wrecked in NASCAR Heat 3 already. That's the same it was for NASCAR Heat 2. But if we can fix up the car contact, DNFs should be added. And you should also have the ability to, obviously, run clean and save your equipment. We'll throw momentum into that mix. I told you I'd get back to it. The momentum in this game is terrible. I haven't found the clip, but I want to say it was Brad Keselowski talking about momentum or something about that. Like for some promo in NASCAR Heat 2, momentum was a thing. A big thing coming in NASCAR Heat 2 with the whole, team ownership or whatever.
And he was able to kind of give us some guidance and, suggest some features. One of them that we're really excited about is this idea of momentum.
From week to week, if a driver is able to successfully race well and return home with his car intact without damaging it, the team can then therefore focus on improving that car from week to week rather than rebuilding cars for the driver. Having momentum improves basically the equipment that you get to race with.
The only thing, if you have like 3 good races in a row, like top 5s or top 10s in a row, you get a 10% speed boost, and that is the only thing you get. It was like that from NASCAR Heat 2 to NASCAR Heat 3. They could do so much more with that, so much more. How clean you keep the car should be heavily involved with that. Obviously, finishing. If you've got teammates, momentum would be great for the entire team. Maybe all your employees and your teammates run a little bit better. Once again, I could go another hour on that, on how, how many things momentum could affect. But a 10% speed boost, and that's it. Obviously, the longer you keep the momentum and keep on running good, it should get better and better and better. I expected that. Didn't happen for 2 years. You get the gist. A little nitpick with the game in NASCAR Heat 3, every time you buy a chassis, at least in Xfinity Series, I would assume it's like this in every series. Every time you buy a chassis, it gets more expensive. That's just a horseshit way to go about it. I've done a lot of complaining about NASCAR Heat 3, and I've done a lot of complaining in this video right here you're watching. Hopefully you're still watching. And I really appreciate the time they did with the career mode this year because it was much needed, and it made the career mode more bearable. If I couldn't upgrade this year, I would not be playing it. I can guarantee you that right now. But little stuff like that, if you buy a chassis, like in the Xfinity Series, it started off with like 400,000, then it went to 500,000, then it went to 600,000. Every time you buy one, it goes up another 100,000. That doesn't make any sense. Why you gotta it's already hard enough, man. Don't kick me in the nuts with stuff like that. All right, so we're almost to the end of it here. I would like to talk about the hot seats. So we had the hot seats in NASCAR Heat 2 and NASCAR Heat 3. See, here's the thing. I didn't want to bring up this specific point because it's not really fair to bring up a point like this that I don't know how to, differ from it. I was going to say it'd be great to do something other than hot seats, like coming up through the ranks, because we've done hot seats from Heat 2 and Heat 3. I'd like to see a change and somehow, some way rank through the series without hot seats, basically, just to change it up a little bit. But I don't know exactly how to go about that. Assuming we have hot seats again in NASCAR Heat 4, one thing that's always bugged me is that you can get put in 5-star cars like you can replace Jimmy Johnson. I know Jimmy Johnson kind of sucks these days, but like a couple years ago, you weren't going to sit any of these guys out for a race. Like in the hot seats so far this year, I filled in for Bubba Wallace, I think, who had actually won a race in my career mode, and for whatever reason gets set out for a race, and then I replace him just for a 1-race deal for a hot seat. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It would be great to have more realistic ones. So maybe you could become like a Gibbs developmental driver. I know they've got like 35 of them. But that'd be pretty cool because a lot of those rides are shared through the trucks and Xfinity. And that goes for other teams as well. But it just doesn't make any sense, man. Like I could see getting plugged in for like maybe a multi-race deal. That'd be pretty cool. But like nothing more than like a premium car. Starcom needs to be in the game. I haven't talked about that, but that's not really 704's fault. But need to keep on calling Starcom until they answer. That way we can get them in the game. But you get my point. Like you shouldn't be replacing. I think I replaced Dale Jr. once. Like you shouldn't be replacing some of the big guys like Kyle Busch. Like it just doesn't make any sense. But that's one of those things. Like I understand why it's a thing, but it'd be cool to have a little bit more realism. I'm just throwing that one out there. I'll talk about driver stats real quick. The driver stats still kind of suck. Actually, there is none. other than yourself. Obviously, NASCAR Thunder 2004, from the point you start your career mode all the way up, you can always look at the stats for guys that are, active. You can look at their career stats, which is so incredibly cool. Not only should you have full in-depth stats of your entire career, but you should have stats for everybody else too. It's fun to compare. I'd love to see an all-time win list. Obviously, you'd have Petty at the top with 200, and then it goes down. To see where you kind of rank up on there, I'd like to, I don't know how high or how far down you would go. Probably, maybe only top 10. I don't know where that ends up. But stuff like that, like all-time, most wins, all-time laps led, and then maybe you could go even farther and have, like, track records and statistics and stuff like that, like most laps led at New Hampshire or Daytona or something stupid like that. NASCAR Thunder 2004 has that. When you load up the game, you go into practice, it shows you the lap record at the track you're racing at. So stuff like that, little stuff like that, man, goes a long, long way. Another thing I randomly thought of, when you're in career mode, you have merch, and apparently you get money as more fans you get. That would be really cool if you could maybe, I don't know how you could go about this, but it'd be great to have you see what you're selling, I guess, basically, because all you really see is a number. That'd be cool if you had like a merch section, you could go off in there and see what you're actually selling, see how much you're selling of them. Maybe set prices. I know Mad Franchise, I don't know if they still do that in like owner mode. You could set prices of like, your stadium. You could sell hot dogs or whatever for whatever price. I think that'd be really, really cool. But yeah, like you could see your own like die casts, shirts, hats, mugs, stupid stuff like that. But it would be cool to, just a little bit more in depth, other than just seeing how much merch you sell at the end of each race, just with that number and that being it. Well, I think that does it. I think I covered pretty much everything on my list. It was my whiteboard isn't too big, but it's like completely covered. So hopefully this video wasn't too long. I don't think it'll be that long. It'll be pretty long, but I don't think it'll be as long as NASCAR Heat 2. I feel like I breezed through that pretty well. Once again, I hope everything made sense. If it did, let me know in the comments. I'll try to make sense of it. But once again, I've played NASCAR Heat Evolution. I've played NASCAR Heat 2. I've played NASCAR Heat 3, and I want to continue playing the NASCAR Heat games. And I'd love to hopefully make them better, some way, somehow. If we could somehow, some way, one day get the NASCAR Heat games like close to like some of the EA games, like NASCAR Thunder 2004. Personally, I don't think anything will ever really touch that game and how beautiful that game is. But that's the biggest thing, man. I always give the game crap. Honestly, I feel like it deserves it half the time. But I just want to make the game better. And hopefully this video will some way, somehow help. And then you guys' ideas and whatever else in the comments, throw them down there. And hopefully we can just toss the whole video to 704. And maybe some way, somehow, they'll take an idea from this and take note of this and improve the game. But that'll do it. If you made it all the way through this video, give yourself a pat on the back. I appreciate you for watching. I said this already, but the last thing I like to say once again, that first list needs to be touched. Needs to be touched up before anything else, man. Anything else, because there's some serious, like NASCAR Heat 3 would not be that bad if that first list of things would be addressed. And I feel like a good chunk of those things could be patched. I don't know how the update process and patching works. I know they've already, tossed out a couple of patches already this year. Unfortunately, not a lot of them for career mode. Like, a lot of them are online and stuff like that. But don't give up, man. Little stuff like that. Little stuff like the caution on the white flag. I don't know if it's just that big of an issue that's taken this long for it to be fixed. But I still feel like it could have the potential to be patched out. Little stuff like that, man. If they just take the time, get that one out of there, that would improve the game so much. So with that being said, I don't want to ramble too much, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this video does some good. Until next year for the NASCAR Heat 5 wish list, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.